Hi everybody, if you're a hockey fan, you're gonna really want to make one of these. We're going to start this project by building the framing for the net. And to do that, I'm using 1-inch, 10-foot length PVC. I have 3 of them here, and I have a whole bunch of different connectors, which I'll show you how I'm going to use them and what kind I'm using once these pieces are all cut down. So let's first clean these up with, I'm going to be using acetone, but I think you could also use rubbing alcohol. And then I want to scuff them up a little bit with 220 grit sandpaper because we're going to be spraying these red later on, and if it's a little bit coarse, it'll stick better. So this is the shape of the framing. You're going to make 2 of these. To fuse this PVC together, you could use PVC cement, which is very easy to find. You can find it at any big box store or hardware store. Or you could use this. This is made from the Vapco company. I'll link it in the description. They sent this to me for free. I've never used it before, but I think for what we're doing here, it's going to be more than what we need as far as strength goes. I showed you these threaded couplings earlier. These are going to go on here. And in between here is going to be this big board where you can stick handle before you take your shot. And it's going to hold this thing vertically. Now, these are too big. I don't want these to be so thick because it's going to be under the board and it's going to lift the board. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you'll see it when I put this thing together. So I want to cut this in half, and I can use half on this end here and half on the other end over there. If you want the measurements and the plans for this build, I will put them on my website and you can download them for free. I will put the link in the description below. For this part, you're going to need a sewing machine. This is really not the right sewing machine for the kind of material that I want to sew, but this is all I have, so we're going to make it work. The bottom portion of this is going to be closed off, and I'm going to be using, this is a marine canvas. This is the kind of stuff you would make cushions for boats out of. It's pretty thick. There's different thicknesses. This is a thinner version of the stuff they would use. It's a cheaper version, but this is going to be perfect for what we're doing here. And then the upper portion, we're going to be using a utility netting. To hold everything in position and tie everything in, we're going to be using grommets. That way we can run string around these tubes here. So I'm going to run these pieces of canvas through the sewing machine, and I want to double up the edges so that way when I put the grommets, it's going to be stronger. And I did a little test piece here, and just to give you an idea, these are 1/4 inch grommets, and when you have it folded over, you have 2 pieces of canvas, it's going to hold better. And so that's what we're going to do with these 2 pieces right now. To help in this process, I'm going to be using basting tape. Basically, it's double-sided tape for canvas and for fabrics. So it's just going to allow me to keep this in this position without having any stitches in it for a little while. That way when I run it through the sewing machine, it's not going to move on me. And being that I'm not really very good on a sewing machine, I need the extra help here. Also, I'm going to be using a polyester thread. This is for outdoors. This is what you would use for like outdoor cushions and things like that. It is called V92, and I will put the link in the description in case you want to buy this material. You're going to see me cut these in half. That was a mistake, but I kind of had to live with that. So if you're going to build this, keep them continuous. The longer, the better. It'll be easier to do the next step. Off camera, I was trying a couple of different ways to try to get like this pocket for the upper part that will hold the balls and the pucks when you shoot it in there. And I think I got something that's gonna work now. I made a couple of mistakes before. I'm gonna make a little binding around the edge here. I'm gonna stitch it and kind of make almost like the netting of a basketball hoop. I want to take this end and connect it to the other end so that it's continuous. I'm using a pre-stained wood conditioner on these boards first, and then after that dries, I'm going to sand it down, and then I'm going to be using this whitewash finish here. It is a water-based product, and I'm hoping to get this kind of like scratchy ice looking surface kind of thing. So hopefully it looks good. We'll see how it goes. Before we can tie this thing down, this side piece here has to be sewn together, and also we got to sew the back end of this, that way nothing can go through it. I am doing this the old-fashioned way, so I got my needle and thread, and I'm just going through a couple of the holes, pulling it through, and just doing like a circular pattern each time, working myself closer to the other end until eventually I get there. I think this is definitely the worst part of this whole project. This is awful. To tie in our canvas, the first thing you might want to do is just fasten the corners temporarily with something to keep it into position. Now there's two ways to actually tie this thing in. I'm going to show you the first way, which is what most people will do, but I prefer the second way because it looks much nicer. So check this out. The more common way would be to just thread the grommets and just wrap around keep working your way around, kind of like this. And you get the idea. Now that'll get you there, but aesthetically, I don't like the way that looks. There's a better way to do this where it looks a lot nicer. It will take a little bit more time, a little bit more effort, but this is how I'm going to do it. First, you're always going to start working from the back portion to the front. Go through the grommet. Now, for the first time, you want to pull a good amount of thread through because you're going to be working your way in this direction. You want to get about halfway through, and then you can use the other end of the material to meet it at the bottom so you can tie it all in. If you don't know what I mean, you'll see as I work my way around this thing. Now you're going to go through from the back to the front, around the PVC pipe, and now you're not going to go back through this hole just yet. You're going to go around the pipe, bring it to the front, all the way to the front. Find your end again, because I lost it. Here it is. And then you're going to go through the grommet again. But this time you're going to go through the grommet from the front side of it. Here we go. Now you're going to tighten. And you get a nice little loop around here, and that's it. You don't get that wrap that you saw in the first method I showed you. Now you're going to work your way over. And this is only going to be visible in the back, which is what I like about this. So you're going to go right back from the back to the front. Pull it all the way through. Go around the pipe. Not through the grommet just yet. You're going to go all the way around the pipe to the front. Pull it through. And now you're going to go through the grommet from the front side of the canvas. And here it is. And you get that tight loop again. And then you work your way over again to the next one. And you just repeat these steps over and over again. I realized as I was stringing up this netting that it would look a lot nicer aesthetically if I could run this same rope for the bottom piece into these grommets as well, instead of having a double rope visible up front here. So I'm going to undo this part and do it again because it's going to look better. All right, looking pretty good so far. Looks a little sloppy on the corners, a little bit too big. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring them in a little bit. So I'm gonna grab the corner and I'm gonna insert it inside, almost like I'm going inside out sort of. I'm gonna go in about 6 inches or so. And I'm going to stitch it like that on both sides, and it's going to kind of taper it towards the back. It's going to look a lot better, I think. To make this more portable, we're going to need that carry case. So I have this fabric material. It's pretty thick. I wanted something a little more durable, and hopefully it will hold up over time. And I'm just going to make a bag, really. And to make it so that it can close up, I am not using zippers because they're a real pain in the neck. I'm not that experienced with it. I have done it. But instead, I'm just going to go with some Velcro. It should work, and I think it's going to be a lot easier. So here we go. Hope you guys enjoyed this project. If you have any questions, put them in the comments and I will get back to you as soon as possible. And for everybody out there, I hope you're all healthy and safe, and I will see you in the next one.